Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my weekly afternoon tea time and a card. I need to straighten out my camera a little bit. Let's see if that worked. Okay, there we go. I hate it when stuff is crooked. I could see the top of my screen and everything was crooked. Hello everyone, welcome. Just a few announcements before we get started. So I wanted to show you guys, and I posted this everywhere that I could think of. We are now in our annual catalog retiring list because we have a new catalog coming on May 1st. So you can see here that I highlighted some of the stamp sets that I've started pulling from my shelf just to set aside because they're retiring. All the ones in yellow, I have several pages here. All the ones in yellow are retiring, and you'll see that some of them are 20, 50, 40% off. There's some of these retiring products that are on sale. So make sure you check out the online store. I think it's under Last Chance Products when you go to the store. And one important thing about the retiring list is the 5 in colors that are retiring. And you know what? I love all 5 of these colors. I'm going to miss these so much. So we have Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, which I love, and Misty Moonlight. I love all of them. The most important thing I want to tell you is if you have any of these ink pads in these colors and you don't have the ink refills, make sure you grab them because those are the ones that go out of stock the fastest. And you don't want to have ink pads without ink refills. Once your ink pads dry up, you won't be able to re-ink them. So make sure, I would go in today or maybe even tomorrow. I'm going to give it a couple days and some of them are going to sell out. So make sure you go and order that. Today I'm using the Celebrate Sunflowers, and I'm happy to say this is not retiring. And I didn't do this on purpose. I had already made my card. And of course we have the sunflower dies, which I'm not using today because I'm doing a technique. But both of these products are not retiring. At the end of my video, I'm going to draw a name for 2 cards that I'm creating today, and also for adhesive backed hexagons. And I'll tell you what you need to do once we get to the end of the video. So let me show you what I've got for products today. I am using the Stamparatus. I have a whole bunch of stuff to show you. This is just an old dryer sheet because I'm doing some embossing. The sentiment I'm using is thanks a bunch. I've got the sunflower here because we're going to use that with the Stamparatus. I've got black embossing powder. I've got white embossing powder. We're going to use both. And yes, you do see some rice in there. I keep rice in my powder because it absorbs the moisture. And usually when I sprinkle it on, the rice doesn't stick. So let me see what else I've got. Okay, for inks, I have Stays On and Versamark. I thought I would bring the ink refills out because I noticed lately we have a lot of new stampers and a lot of you guys don't know how to re-ink your stamp pad. So I thought I would do that with you guys. So this is the Stays On, and I always make sure I give it a shake. And then all I do is go back and forth, and you can see that it's absorbing the ink. And I go, on this one, I go until I see that it's no longer absorbing. It's sucking right into that ink pad. Okay, now you can see it's going a little slower, so I'm going to stop. I'm just going to put the cover back on in case I make a mess. And the Versamark is a little different. The Versamark ink refill is very, very thick. So on this one, I just kind of dot it, and you can see that it's not sinking in. I just kind of dot it on my foam, and then what I do is I take the tip and I just press it into the foam. And I'm going to do that one more time. So it doesn't really sink in immediately, so that's why I kind of push it in with the tip of my bottle. Okay, so I've got both of those inked. So whenever I do a video with you guys, I always ink my ink pads before I start. So I just thought I'd do it with you today. Let's see what else we've got. The In Color Jewels. I've got the Fresh Freesia Open Weave ribbon, and that's very pretty ribbon. It's got a shimmery shine to it. And you know what? I didn't even look to see if, I just worried about my stamp sets, punches, and dies today. So I didn't really go through the embellishments yet. So I don't know if these are retiring. And then let me bring in the layers I'm using. So I'm doing black and white with a hint of Fresh Freesia. So one of each, basic black, basic white, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to fold these while I got both of them in my hand. And then I've got the Pattern Party designer paper. And of course, normally 100% of our designer paper retires. These are 2 pieces, 5 1/4 by 4. Now I need to get my ruler. Fresh Freesia, I need 2 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then 1 black and 1 white, 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. And then I have 1/2 inch strips of the Fresh Freesia that I'm going to trim after I do my sentiment. So let me go ahead. I'm going to dig out these 2 pieces, and I'm going to show you what card I'm making. Let's see, I just need to figure out what I need. Okay, I'm going to use the Stays On Later. So all I need is the Versamark to start off. And here are my 2 cards. This is called the Split Negative. So what we're primarily going to do is stamp the flower image on both of these. This one is going to be black embossed, and then the black one is going to be white embossed. Then we cut them in half, and then we just swap them over. I went vertical with these 2, and I went horizontal with these 2. It's a really neat technique. So let me move those just so I can get the stamping part done. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to line up. So I'm using the bold line right here. I'm going to line that up. The reason I'm using my Stamparatus, because when you line these up, they have to match perfectly. So you want to make sure when you're stamping that the image is going to go the same exact position on both of these. Now I'm going to take the sunflower, I'm going to lay that on top. I'm going to center, and then I'm going to bring this down to grab it. And my used dryer sheet, because I still have my embossing buddy, but I can't sell it to you because we no longer have this in the catalog. So the next, and I use this when I'm stamping on for myself, but when I do videos, the next best thing to use is a used dryer sheet. I'm just going to rub that over the cardstock. This just takes off the static that might be on the cardstock and maybe my fingerprints. And now I'm going to go ahead and use the Stamparatus. So I'm going to ink with Versamark. And this is a large detailed stamp, so we got to make sure we press over the whole thing. I'm going to get my exercise. I'm going to lift this up. I just want to check. I'm going to hold it up to the light. I can see that it's stamped very well. So because this is black, we're going to use the white embossing powder. I like having my powder inside a container because everything falls right back in. And I almost never have a mess. Now I always keep a paintbrush handy, and I like to just take off the little pieces here that might have flown off to the side. But you know what? On dark cardstock like this, the little splatters would be okay. They would look kind of cool. But I just want to show you guys what I normally do. So there's my white one. That's all ready to be heat embossed. Let's go ahead and put this away before I make a mess. Now we need to do the same thing with the white. So again, I'm using the same bold lines to line this up. my used dryer sheet. We're going to ink the same way. Sorry if my camera moves while I'm tapping down. My camera sits on a stand, and when there's a little bit of movement, sometimes it moves a little. I'm going to do the same thing, just press down. And you guys won't be able to see this one because it's on white. But I'm still going to grab it, make sure, hold it up to the light. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's there. So now I'm all done with this. We're going to bring in black this time. And you can see the powder is sticking to the Versamark ink. That's why you need Versamark ink when you do this. And let's see, there's a couple little flecks right here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to make a little bit of noise because I need to heat up my heat tool. I'm going to bring both of those in. And all I'm going to do with the heat tool is melt the powder. Let me see if I can grab this without touching it. And you're going to see while I heat this, it's going to turn really glossy and shiny. I was just kind of going here on my hands to make sure I was getting nice and hot. Okay, it's starting to turn. You guys can see that it's darker where it's melting. And once it starts going, it goes really fast. Now I chose to leave these uncolored because I think they look fabulous just the way they are. And once I'm done heating, I usually hold it up to the light to make sure that everything is glossy. But I was so happy to see that this set did not retire. Okay, now I'm going to hold it up. It's nice and glossy. Now we're going to do the white one. This one should go fast because the heat tool is already nice and hot. And look at the middle, how nice and bright white that is. This one's going to go a lot faster because my heat tool is nice and hot. I know a lot of you guys have not tried embossing. Embossing to me is just a wow from stamping with ink. Okay, now let me make sure that's nice and glossy. And if you'll notice, let me turn this off. If you'll notice when I'm doing this, I'm continuously moving. If you stick in one spot, you're going to burn your paper. So you have to continuously move your heat tool. Okay, now the next step to make this work, we need to make sure that, and look, with my luck, it's positioned the same exact way. I'm just looking at this petal here is the same, this one up here, and it's got a kind of a dip right here, so I know they're both facing the right direction. And we're going to take this, what was my measurement? 3.5. So 1 3/4 is my center point. Don't cringe when I cut through this. There's 2 pieces. We're going to do the same thing on the white one. And then we're just going to swap them out. Oh, I do need to get scrap pieces of white, because that's how I actually glued these together. And I'm not even measuring, I'm just eyeballing 2 pieces. They're just smaller than what I just cut. Okay, so now I need to glue these together. Where is my snail? Okay, I'm going to add a lot of glue to this scrap piece of white. I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to match this up, making sure the lines match up. Don't worry if it's not exactly equal, because that's where we're going to bring in the paper trimmer and just trim that to make sure it's the same. Okay, look at that. They match up. There's number one. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the second one. Match up my lines. And I'm just looking at the petal right here to make sure the lines match up. I'm going to bring it closer just so you can see. See, the lines match up right there. And then again right there. I just need to cut off just a smidgen on this one. Okay. So now I'm going to turn one. Let me bring the cards in. I'm going to turn one this way and I'm going to turn one this way, just opposite to each other. I'm going to start gluing our pieces together. So let's start out by adding the designer paper, and the pattern is different from the first cards that I used. Oh, I see a lot of hearts, you guys. I hope you give this a try. It's a lot of fun. Whoops, I want to make sure my card is turned the way it's supposed to be. There's number one. And as you're building your squares, your stamped and embossed squares, you're actually preparing yourself for two cards. That's what's great about this too. 2-for-1 deal. Okay, now we're going to do the fresh freesia. It's going to go on there flat. Number two. So you guys, we also got to see the new catalog coming out today. And of course, Stamping Up never disappoints. We get some fabulous new products coming. Okay, now I'm going to flip these over. And add dimensionals. So if you guys did not see the list, I did post it on the group page. I also posted it on my business page. I sent out a newsletter. So you can't miss it. Just go looking for it. You can't miss it. Okay, now this is the black one. We're going to do black at the top. And then with the white one, we're going to turn the panels vertical. So let's see, that's going to go this way. Now we're going to do the sentiment. Let's see how good I'm going to do with the camera sitting in front of my face. I notice sometimes you guys see my hair. I try not to do that. I'm going to bring it down a tad. Okay, that one's good. And remember, there's always two sides to the cardstock. There's number two. Now all I'm going to do is trim close to the letters. So 1/2 inch wide and then trim close to the letters. And then we're going to add more dimensionals. So I'm going to flip these over. I didn't dig out any of my minis, and these fit perfectly in there anyway. Normally I would have used my mini dimensionals. Okay, let's bring the cards in. Whoops, I got a backing right there. Now what I did on this, I felt that this showed up a lot more in the black, so I brought this one up to the top. And of course this one is the vertical, so it doesn't matter. But I added this one more towards the bottom. See, we're going to put that right there. And all I've got left to do is the ribbon and the bling. You know, now that I'm using this ribbon, I really need to go see if it's retiring. I hope it's not because I love this ribbon. It's so easy to work with. Because these are the in colors that came out this past year, and they're still good for one more year. But they don't always keep the ribbon for some reason. Okay, where are my scissors? I don't know what I did with my ribbon scissors. Oh, yes, I do. I'm working on my Christmas club, and they're in the living room. I don't think this is going to cut right. Okay. I might have to trim them later. These don't cut as well as my ribbon scissors. Okay, there's number 1. One more to go. I normally can cut ribbon really well with my paper snips, but these, I've used them so much for paper that they're not as sharp as they used to be. I should order another pair just to use for ribbon. Let me make this a little longer. Oh, Carol is saying the ribbon didn't retire. Yay! I am so happy to hear that. Like I said, I was more concerned with my stamps and my dies and my punches. I'm so glad because I love this ribbon. Oh, come on. I'm going to have to retrim that ribbon because these scissors are just not cutting it. Okay, now let's bring in the jewels. And all I did was add some to the bottom. I'm going to put 1, 2, and 3. And then I kind of took the ribbon and I slid it a little bit under that white layer. Just like that. Get in there. Okay, there's that one. Now let's do this one. And then the same thing. I'm just going to slide that ribbon so that it's under the white layer. And that's my 2 cards for today. Isn't that a great way to make up 2 cards? 2 for 1. 2 for 1 deal. Okay, so you guys are going to need to comment, and the first winner that I pick will be for a set of cards. And the second winner will be for the jewels. And for those of you watching this later on YouTube, I always do the drawing on Facebook. So you need to find me on Facebook if you want to take part in any of the drawings. So you guys need to comment. Oh, thanks so much for the hearts. I love that you guys love these cards. Okay, that's it for tonight, guys. I will not be live on my business page on Debbie's Designs on Friday because I have my bingo event that I'm so anxious for. I'm so glad that I've had a full house. So I will see you guys next Wednesday on the Stampin' Ink Designs group. Have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.